There's a moment in this tournament that caught everyone off guard. Nobody at FIFA saw it coming. The broadcast teams didn't plan for it. The managers who spent months organizing their squads didn't anticipate it. On June 15, 2026, Spain arrived as the defending European champions, sitting among the world's top 3 ranked teams, playing their opening group match. And they walked away having not scored against Cape Verde, a small island nation in the Atlantic, with roughly 560,000 residents, competing in only their second-ever World Cup appearance. That scoreless result became the defining story of the tournament's opening week, but it's actually part of something much bigger. During these first 5 days, we've witnessed a series of moments that reveal what's really happening beneath the surface, and it goes beyond what's happening on the pitch. Players, teams, and entire nations are responding in different ways to the structure FIFA has put in place around this competition. Some responses have been loud and visible. Others have been subtle, behind the scenes, emerging from the simple physical realities of what this expanded format demands. These are 5 separate challenges to the system, 5 distinct approaches to the same underlying issue. Together, they paint a picture that contradicts everything FIFA's marketing has promised. So what's actually unfolding? Why is the first week showing us pushback that no World Cup has ever experienced in this particular way? Let's examine each one. The first is the most obvious. Brazil's most prolific attacker, the Real Madrid sensation who scored against Morocco at a New Jersey stadium on June 13th, was required to participate in a mandatory halftime interview. This is standard procedure under FIFA's broadcast agreements, one of the obligations built in to generate billions in television revenue. He declined. When told he'd face a penalty, his response was clear. Brazil would pay it, but no one from the team would be going to that microphone. His choice to absorb a fine rather than comply caught the football world's attention. Not because player interviews were being refused, but because of what it signaled about the relationship between athletes and the system profiting from their performances. The football community's response wasn't criticism, it was recognition. People who understand how this machine operates knew exactly what he was rejecting. This connects to something else happening simultaneously: the cooling break controversy. FIFA mandated 3-minute breaks at the 22-minute mark of each half, positioned as a player welfare measure, but strategically timed to allow broadcasters to insert commercials. Before the tournament started, dozens of athletes signed an open letter demanding stronger protections, proper 6-minute intervals, scientific oversight, independently measured temperature data. FIFA's answer was 3 minutes with ads in between. When that player refused his scheduled appearance, it wasn't an isolated gesture. He was taking a stand about commercial obligations that he decided weren't negotiable. The second major moment: Cape Verde's result against Spain. A team representing 500,000 people, in their second World Cup, prevented one of Europe's finest technical squads from scoring. Their goalkeeper made extraordinary saves. The defense was perfectly organized. Their intensity was total. But what makes this more than just a surprise result is the specific context. The 48-team format has created travel conditions unlike any World Cup before it. Teams are moving across greater distances, between more cities spanning 3 countries. Flight schedules demand constant adjustment. Time zones shift repeatedly. Facilities change. Accommodations vary from excellent to completely unexpected. Spain trained at a boarding school in Tennessee. Iraq prepared in a rural area of West Virginia. The smaller federations, with fewer resources, are managing these logistical demands with far less support infrastructure than the major powers possess. Cape Verde's ability to hold Spain scoreless reflects their quality and preparation, yes, but it also reflects what this format is asking of all 48 teams. For smaller nations operating with minimal resources, the toll is even heavier. The third expression of this tension comes from Iran. Their situation has been the most sustained, formally documented, and practically extraordinary. The federation had 15 officials, including its president and vice president, denied entry visas. The team sleeps across the border in Mexico and travels to Los Angeles for match days. Supporter allocations were reportedly reduced. Players are competing in their 7th World Cup, while navigating conditions no previous World Cup has imposed. They're managed all this: the border crossing before matches, the absence of federation leadership, reduced fan presence, while still playing football. The fact that they're there, competing, demonstrates both determination and also highlights the operational disconnect between FIFA's language about universal inclusion and the actual, reality on the ground. The fourth involves a racism monitor, officially calling for action against a tournament official, an internal challenge to how the competition is being administered. Then there's the fifth, broader movement. The physical demands rebellion. The expanded format was supposed to represent inclusion. More nations, more stories, more global representation. But the price being paid is becoming increasingly visible. Teams are managing three-country travel, repeated time zone changes, unfamiliar training setups, all while competing across 6 weeks. That open letter about heat and welfare intervals wasn't just about those 3 minutes. It was dozens of elite athletes telling FIFA that the balance is wrong, that commercial arrangements are being prioritized over genuine safety considerations, even though those arrangements are framed as being about player care. FIFA's response has been to maintain the existing schedule. The commercial window stays. The 3-minute format continues. And the athletes who signed the letter keep competing because not competing isn't really a choice. What do these 5 moments tell us together? A global superstar choosing to pay a penalty, rather than participate in a mandatory broadcast obligation. Smaller nation exposing the travel inequalities built into the expanded structure. A federation facing extraordinary restrictions on who can attend. Players crossing borders to compete. Athletes formally requesting better welfare protections and being declined. These aren't the same type of resistance. They're arriving through different channels, creating different immediate outcomes, involving different stakeholders. But they're connected by one thread. They all reveal the distance between what FIFA promised and what participants are actually experiencing, between the marketing language of the most inclusive World Cup ever and the operational reality of visa denials. 3-minute commercial breaks rebranded as welfare measures, and superstars choosing fines over participation. The matches themselves have their own counter-narrative. Cape Verde's draw against Spain, Brazil's goal against Morocco, Iran's players taking the field, Qatar earning their first World Cup point, Scotland breaking a 36-year winless streak. The football creates its moments, always does. These coexist with the structural challenges, not instead of them. Here's the question. You know enough about football to understand the difference between resistance that forces real change and resistance that the system simply absorbs. Do these 5 moments signal the beginning of something meaningful? Or are they the normal friction of a tournament so massive, so intricate, and so commercially structured that it can simply absorb the objections of any individual player, team, or federation? That's what we're seeing unfold in real time. What's your take on where this goes? Subscribe to see what happens as the tournament develops, and what these early moments ultimately come to mean.